If they love you, they'll want to kill you. If they don't...
Here's a bit of a rattlesnake.
You know the music, but you don't know the cost. A coin flip that saved one rock star and doomed another.
Ritchie Valens, 17 of Los Angeles, California.
A multi-million-dollar hit where the star earned less than the caterers. And a mother who held on through sheer will only to pass the moment the film was finished.
Ritchie!
These aren't just trivia, they are the heartbreaking reality behind the legend. Here are the 30 strangest truths about La Bamba.
Ritchie, time to get up.
Number 30. A La Bamba remake was officially announced. Mucho Mas Media partnered with Sony Pictures to bring Ritchie Valens' story back to the big screen. Luis Valdez, the original director, signed on as executive producer, and Jose Rivera is writing the new screenplay. When Lou Diamond Phillips heard the news, his first reaction was simple. Why?
It's so funny because it was Danny who told me that, and I went, what? And apparently I said the same thing that Luis said. Why? You know?
He felt they'd already told the story completely, but he also said if it puts money in the Valens family's pockets, he supports it.
But I support it, and especially, to be quite honest, if it puts some money in the family's pockets, I'm very happy for them.
Lou suggested the remake could explore the brutal conditions of the Winter Dance Party tour that led Buddy Holly to charter that fatal plane. The question remains, can lightning strike twice? But before this remake was even a thought, the original film dealt with a tragedy that still haunts rock and roll history, and the terrifying reason behind it will shock you.
The harder you work, the more money you make. Come on, what's holding you up? Ponle, dale, Ritchie.
Number 29. Ritchie Valens died in a plane crash. But in January 1957, 2 years before his death, a mid-air collision happened directly above Pacoima Junior High School, where Ritchie was a student. Debris from the crash rained down onto the schoolyard. 3 students were killed instantly. Ritchie was in the bathroom at the time, which likely saved his life. He witnessed the aftermath, the chaos, the bodies, the terror. From that day forward, he was haunted by a deep fear of airplanes. Yet on February 3rd, 1959, he boarded that fatal flight anyway.
He asked the manager if there was any way they could charter a plane. And he said, yeah, actually there is. You know.
He had survived a plane crash once. The second one killed him. What's even more chilling is how Ritchie ended up on that plane in the first place. It came down to a single flip of a coin.
I'm gonna toss this coin. Whoever wins is gonna ride on this plane, sleep in a warm bed tonight.
Number 28. At the Surf Ballroom in Clear Lake, Iowa, DJ Bob Hale stood in a small side stage room with Ritchie Valens and Tommy Allsup. Buddy Holly had chartered a plane and there was one seat available. Ritchie wanted it. So did Tommy. Unable to decide, they agreed to flip a coin.
Tommy stuck his hand in his pocket, pulled out a coin, and he goes, I'll flip you for it, Ritchie.
Bob Hale pulled out a $50 and tossed it into the air. Ritchie called heads. The coin landed heads up. Ritchie won the seat.
Came up heads, which would normally be a winning coin flip.
Tommy Allsup walked away alive. That single coin toss changed music history forever. A moment frozen in time. Simple, random, and devastating. Decades later, the film honoring Ritchie's legacy would receive recognition that proved his story still matters. And what happened in 2017 was unexpected.
Ritchie! Ritchie! Your breakfast is on the table. I'm off to work it.
Number 27. In 2017, 30 years after its release, La Bamba was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress. This isn't just a nice award. It's an official recognition that the film is culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Only a small percentage of films ever receive this designation. What made La Bamba worthy? Its authentic portrayal of Chicano culture, its groundbreaking Latino representation in Hollywood, and its role in changing how Mexican-American stories were told on screen. The film wasn't just entertainment. It was a cultural milestone that opened doors for generations of Latino filmmakers and actors who came after. But years before this prestigious honor, the film's music video had already conquered MTV in a way nobody saw coming. Number 26. Los Lobos' version of La Bamba didn't just dominate radio, it conquered MTV too. In 1988, the music video featuring Lou Diamond Phillips won the MTV Video Music Award for Best Video from a Film. This was during MTV's golden era, when VMAs actually meant something in pop culture. The video perfectly captured the energy and emotion of the film, blending performance footage with scenes from the movie. It became a visual anthem of the late 80s. Sung entirely in Spanish, it proved that authenticity and passion could break through any cultural wall. American audiences didn't just tolerate it, they made it #1. And when I say #1, I mean it literally. But what happened on the Billboard charts was almost impossible. Number 25. Los Lobos' recording of La Bamba climbed all the way to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in August 1987. It stayed there for 3 weeks. The song is sung entirely in Spanish, making it one of the very few non-English songs to ever top the American charts. In the 1980s, mainstream American radio was not friendly to Spanish-language music. The charts were dominated by Madonna, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, English-speaking pop royalty. Yet somehow, this traditional Mexican folk song, performed by a Chicano rock band from Los Angeles, crashed through every barrier.
The situation surrounding the recording of this song and its success has more...
It wasn't watered down or translated. It was pure, authentic, and undeniable. But the magic behind the film's music didn't stop there. A legendary guitarist secretly shaped the entire emotional sound of the movie.
It's no hope.
Number 24. The instrumental score running underneath the entire film was co-created by Carlos Santana, one of the greatest guitarists in rock history.
It gives me great joy to be around them because I learned so much from them, you know. And basically, you learn to be like a child. Innocence.
This is an unusual credit for a music biopic. Most biopics rely solely on the original artist's catalog, but Luis Valdez wanted something more, a sonic texture that could bridge past and present, traditional and modern. Santana's guitar work added layers of emotion and authenticity that elevated every scene. His involvement wasn't just a celebrity cameo. It was a conscious artistic choice to honor Ritchie's Mexican roots while celebrating his rock and roll spirit. The result is a score that feels alive and rooted in Mexican-American identity. Speaking of musical authenticity, the band that recorded Ritchie's songs didn't just work behind the scenes, they actually appear in the film itself. Number 23. Most viewers miss that Los Lobos, the band that recorded all of Ritchie's songs for the film,
the music for the movie about Valen's life, La Bamba, is performed by a group that in 1987, the band Los Lobos,
actually appear on screen. During the Tijuana performance scene, they're the band playing in the background. It's a blink and you'll miss it moment, but it's there. This cameo was intentional, a nod to the band's crucial role in bringing Ritchie's music back to life. Without Los Lobos, the film's musical authenticity would have been impossible. They didn't just cover the songs, they inhabited them. They understood the cultural weight of what they were doing. Their performance wasn't imitation, it was resurrection. But Los Lobos wasn't chosen by Hollywood executives or agents. The decision came from someone much more important.
I can't do it, honey. Ritchie's a minor.
He's going to be singing, not drinking.
Yeah.
Number 22. When it came time to record Ritchie's music for the film, the Valens family themselves specifically requested Los Lobos.
It was important to Los Lobos that they get to know the Valenzuela family when doing Ritchie Valens' music.
The decision wasn't made by studio executives or producers. Why Los Lobos? Because they were East LA Chicanos who grew up with the same cultural roots as Ritchie. They understood what La Bamba meant, not just as a song, but as a symbol of Mexican-American identity. The family didn't want a polished pop version. They wanted something real. Los Lobos delivered. Their recordings honored Ritchie's spirit, while adding their own raw, passionate energy. The music feels alive because the people playing it truly cared.
They're gonna stay the same, and that's what got them here, and that's how they're gonna say.
This commitment to authenticity extended beyond the music. The filmmakers made a rare decision about Ritchie's childhood that most Hollywood movies would never dare. Number 21. Most music biopics take major creative liberties, especially when it comes to poorly documented periods of an artist's life. When Luis Valdez couldn't find solid information about Ritchie's childhood, he simply didn't make things up. This restraint is almost unheard of in Hollywood. Instead of creating dramatic scenes that might be emotionally satisfying but factually questionable, Valdez focused on what could be verified. He leaned on family interviews and real memories. This decision gave the film a credibility that most biopics lack. Yes, some dramatic liberties were taken. That's unavoidable in any film. But the core commitment to truth over invention set La Bamba apart. But while they honored the truth of Ritchie's story, the actual filming locations weren't always what they seemed.
So I says to him, sweetheart, if you don't like it, you can land it. So he landed.
Number 20. Principal photography on La Bamba officially began on June 16, 1986, according to AFI production records. But the first 6 days of shooting didn't happen in Pacoima, where Ritchie actually grew up. Instead, the crew filmed on an apricot farm near Hollister, California. Why? Budget constraints and location availability. The farm provided the rural agricultural setting that matched Ritchie's working-class background. It also gave the production team more control over filming conditions. La Bamba wasn't a big-budget studio production with unlimited resources. Every choice had to be strategic. These limitations didn't hurt the film. They forced creativity that made it better. In fact, budget limitations created one of the most unusual filming rules in Hollywood history.
Cut, Ritchie. Let's start again.
Number 19. During production, Luis Valdez enforced a strict 3 takes only rule. This wasn't about being difficult or artistically rigid, it was about survival. With a modest budget and a tight shooting schedule, the production couldn't afford endless takes. Film stock cost money, time cost money, every extra take meant less money for everything else. So Valdez demanded that his actors come prepared. They had to be ready to deliver on the first, second, or third take, because that's all they'd get. This pressure actually created better performances. There's an immediacy and authenticity in the film that comes from actors knowing they couldn't rely on doing it again tomorrow. And speaking of budget constraints, the entire film was shot using equipment that would shock most Hollywood productions.
Okay, now smile. Great.
Number 18. The entire film was shot primarily with a single Arriflex camera. This wasn't an artistic choice, it was a financial necessity. Most Hollywood productions use multiple cameras to capture different angles simultaneously. Multiple cameras mean multiple camera operators, more equipment rentals, more film stock, and more complexity in post-production. The production simply couldn't afford it. But here's what's remarkable. This limitation didn't make the film look cheap. Cinematographer Adam Greenberg worked magic with that single camera. Every shot was carefully planned and executed. The film has a visual intimacy that might have been lost with a multi-camera setup. Sometimes limitations force you to be more creative, not less. But the most shocking limitation of all wasn't technical, it was personal. And it traces back to a decision that changed Ritchie's identity forever.
La Bamba!
Hey, Ritchie, come here, man!
Number 17. Ricardo Valenzuela. That was Ritchie Valens' real name. But in 1958, when Bob Keane signed him to Delphi Records, Valenzuela became Valens. This wasn't an accident or a coincidence. It was a calculated business decision designed to make Ritchie more marketable to mainstream white audiences. In late 1950s America, a Mexican surname was seen as a commercial liability. Radio stations might not play it, venues might not book it, fans might not buy it. So they Americanized it. They made him sound less Latino, more palatable, more safe for the masses. It worked. Ritchie became a star, but the cost was cultural erasure. His heritage was hidden in plain sight. This name change worked so well that even the director of La Bamba was completely fooled. And what he believed will blow your mind.
Bob? Bob!
Number 16. Luis Valdez, a Mexican-American director, admits that when he first heard La Bamba in 1959, he assumed Ritchie Valens was Italian. Not Latino, Italian. He remembers wondering why this Italian guy was singing in Spanish. It wasn't until years later that Valdez discovered the truth. Ritchie was Chicano, just like him. This story perfectly illustrates how effective the name change was at obscuring Ritchie's identity. Even members of his own community were fooled. In the 1950s and 60s, being Italian was more acceptable than being Mexican. The whitewashing worked so well that it erased Ritchie from his own people. But decades later, when it came time to honor Ritchie's memory, his mother would experience something that no parent should ever have to witness. And what happened after the premiere is heartbreaking. Number 15. Connie Valenzuela, Ritchie's mother, passed away on October 18, 1987, just 3 months after La Bamba premiered. She was 72 years old. She's buried in the same grave as her son at San Fernando Mission Cemetery. Mother and son, together again after 28 years apart. When Ritchie died in 1959, Connie was only 44 years old. She spent the next 3 decades living with that loss, carrying that grief. She never fully recovered. But she did get to see her son's story told with dignity and love. She attended the premiere. She saw audiences embrace Ritchie's legacy. And then, just months later, she was reunited with him. The timing of her death wasn't just sad. It was almost as if she'd been waiting for something specific to happen first.
Rock and roll singers died early today in a plane crash. Buddy Holly, 22 of Lubbock, Texas. Ritchie Valens, 17 of Los Angeles.
Number 14. Connie Valenzuela was already gravely ill when La Bamba was being filmed. She was weak, sick, and fading. But according to Luis Valdez, she came back to life for the movie. She drew strength from somewhere deep inside because she wanted to see this happen. She wanted to witness her son being honored. The film premiered on July 24th, 1987. Connie was there, watching her baby's story on the big screen, surrounded by family and a theater full of people who loved what Ritchie represented. 3 months later, October 18th, 1987, she died. She held on just long enough. She fulfilled her final mission as a mother, to see her son remembered properly. Then she let go. But Connie wasn't the only family member who played a crucial role in making the film happen. Ritchie's brother Bob did something for the lead actor that changed everything.
We're going to Philadelphia?
American Bandstand.
Really?
Ritchie, we fly up for that.
Number 13. When Lou Diamond Phillips officially got the role of Ritchie Valens, he flew back to Texas to pack his things. When he returned to California to start filming, the person waiting for him at the airport wasn't a studio driver or assistant. It was Bob Morales himself, Ritchie's real older brother. Bob drove Lou to the house in Pacoima that Ritchie had bought for his mother. There, Lou met the entire Valens family: Connie, Irma, Mario, and the real Rosie. This wasn't a casual meet and greet. It was an endorsement. Bob was giving Lou his blessing. He was saying, "You can tell our story." For Lou, that moment meant everything. But Bob's contribution to the film went way beyond a simple airport pickup. What he told the director about himself was brutally shocking.
That Rocky Martin! Ow! 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 Okay? Are you okay?
Number 12. When Luis Valdez sat down with Bob Morales to research the film, he asked Bob to be completely honest. Bob didn't hold back. He admitted he was an alcoholic. He admitted he was violent. He admitted he abused his family. He told Valdez, "If you want to write all of that into the story, go ahead." Most people would sanitize their own history, especially for a Hollywood movie. Not Bob. He understood that telling Ritchie's story authentically meant telling his story too, the ugly parts included. That openness gave Valdez permission to create a real, flawed human character instead of a stereotype. Bob's courage made the film better. It made it true. That honesty paid off in ways nobody expected, because the film became a financial phenomenon that stunned Hollywood.
You see anything?
Yeah. Yeah, I just saw the Grand Canyon. It's a long way down there.
Number 11. La Bamba was made for just $6.5 million. That's tiny by Hollywood standards, even in 1987. But the film earned over $54 million in domestic box office alone. When you add international releases, especially in Latin America where it was a massive phenomenon, plus VHS and DVD sales over the years, the total revenue is staggering. This made La Bamba one of the most profitable music biopics ever made relative to its budget. The return on investment was extraordinary. It proved that authentic storytelling doesn't need $100 million. It needs heart, passion, and respect for the subject. La Bamba had all three. Audiences responded with their wallets. But those incredible profits weren't guaranteed. The film almost didn't get made at all because of an unusual deal that put everything at risk.
Come on, the old man wants us to eat breakfast.
Number 10. Columbia Pictures didn't finance La Bamba up front like a typical studio production. Instead, the filmmakers made the movie independently, taking on all the financial risk themselves. Only after the film was completed did Columbia agree to distribute it. This arrangement is called a negative pickup. It meant the studio had minimal financial exposure, but it also meant the filmmakers were betting everything on themselves. If the movie flopped, they'd lose everything. If it succeeded, they'd reap the rewards. It was a massive gamble. The negative pickup model gave Valdez creative freedom that a traditional studio deal wouldn't have allowed. That freedom shows on screen. And speaking of financial risks, the star of the film took an even bigger gamble, one that involved his own mother and a heartbreaking sacrifice.
A big place where you can sell a lot of tickets, put a lot of posters up. You gotta think big.
You want to be my manager?
Sure, I can do it.
Number 9. Lou Diamond Phillips earned about $6,000 total for starring in La Bamba, but Lou gave half of that money, $3,000, to his mother. She had recently divorced and was struggling financially. Lou understood what it meant to struggle. He understood family obligation. Just like Ritchie in the movie, who bought his mother a house, Lou took care of his own mom. Within 6 months of finishing the film, Lou was nearly broke. He had no idea La Bamba would become a hit. He just knew his mother needed help. That's character. That's who Lou Diamond Phillips is. But wait, why was Lou only making $6,000 in the first place? The answer reveals just how broke this production really was.
One of these days, I'm gonna buy you the house of your dreams, Mom. That's a promise.
Tell me.
Number 8. Lou Diamond Phillips, the star of La Bamba, was paid scale wages. That meant about $1,100 per week. The entire production took roughly 5 to 6 weeks. When it was all said and done, Lou walked away with a little over $6,000. For comparison, major stars in 1987 were making hundreds of thousands or even millions per film. Lou made what a decent used car cost. Why so little? Because La Bamba was an independent production with no money. Everyone worked for scale or deferred payment. Nobody knew if the film would even get released, let alone become a hit. Lou believed in the story and took the risk. His gamble paid off in career terms, but not financially, at least not right away. But here's the ironic twist. The actor who played Bob almost ended up playing Ritchie instead, and the casting process was full of surprises.
I thought we'd start off easy. Play a few riffs, move on to a couple of vocals, nothing heavy, and then when you're ready, we'll record a little, okay?
Number 7. Originally auditioned for Ritchie. Esai Morales, who eventually played Bob Morales with such intensity and authenticity, originally auditioned for the role of Ritchie Valens. He wanted to play the lead. But Luis Valdez saw something different in Esai. He saw darkness, edge, and a raw masculinity that would be perfect for the troubled older brother. So Valdez offered him Bob instead. Esai accepted, and the rest is history. His performance as Bob is one of the film's highlights. Angry, vulnerable, and heartbreaking. It's impossible to imagine anyone else in that role now. Sometimes the best casting decisions are the ones nobody originally planned. Esai was meant to play Bob all along, and he was just one of hundreds because Valdez conducted one of the most extensive casting searches in Hollywood history. Number 6. Luis Valdez held auditions in Los Angeles, New York, Miami, and Dallas. Over 600 actors read for various roles in La Bamba. This wasn't just about finding talent, it was about finding authenticity. Valdez was searching for something specific and intangible, that soft-hearted innocence that the real Ritchie Valens apparently possessed. Many of those 600 actors went on to successful careers in Hollywood, but none of them had exactly what Valdez needed for Ritchie. Great casting isn't just about skill or looks. It's about finding the exact right person who embodies the spirit of the character. That person turned out to be a young actor from Texas who almost didn't get the part. In fact, when Valdez finally found him, Lou Diamond Phillips did something nobody expected. He turned down the role. Number 5. After Lou Diamond Phillips' audition, Luis Valdez approached him with surprising news. He wasn't getting the role of Bob Morales. Lou was disappointed, but then Valdez said something unexpected. He wanted Lou to play Ritchie instead. Lou's immediate reaction? He refused. He said no. He told Valdez he was wrong, that he was Bob, not Ritchie. Valdez didn't argue. He simply told Lou to go home, sleep on it, and look at Ritchie's lines. Then come back the next morning. Lou did exactly that. He read Ritchie's scenes. He thought about it. Something shifted. The next day, he came back and said yes. That overnight decision changed Lou's life forever. But why was Lou so convinced he was Bob in the first place? Because that's exactly who he'd prepared to play from the very beginning. Number 4. When Lou Diamond Phillips flew in Texas to audition for La Bamba, he was completely prepared to play Bob Morales, the troubled older brother. He had studied Bob's character. He had practiced Bob's attitude. He read for Bob during his audition. He genuinely thought he had a better shot at landing that part. Lou saw himself as Bob, rough around the edges, intense, street smart. He didn't see himself as the sweet, innocent Ritchie. But Luis Valdez saw something Lou didn't. After the audition, Valdez told Lou he wasn't tough enough to play Bob. Esai Morales was tougher, but Lou had something else. A warmth and vulnerability perfect for Ritchie. That redirection changed everything. But before any of this casting drama could happen, the filmmakers had to solve an impossible problem. They couldn't even find Ritchie's family. Number 3. Bob Morales was still living in the area. After 5 frustrating years of research, Danny Valdez finally caught a break. He discovered that Bob Morales, Ritchie's older brother, was still alive and living in the same general area. Up until that point, the Valens family seemed almost impossible to locate. But once Danny found Bob, everything changed. Bob agreed to meet at a bar in San Juan Bautista. That meeting was the turning point. Bob opened up. He shared stories. He gave permission. He became the key that unlocked the entire project. Without Bob's cooperation and honesty, La Bamba never would have happened. At least not in any authentic form. One person saying yes can change everything. Bob Morales said yes. But why was finding Bob so difficult? Because for 5 long years, it seemed like Ritchie Valens had been completely erased from history. Number 2. From 1979 to 1984, Danny Valdez spent 5 years trying to track down any solid information about Ritchie Valens and his family. 5 years. There were no books published about Ritchie, no magazine articles, no documentaries, nothing substantial existed in the public record. Ritchie Valens had essentially been forgotten by mainstream culture. He was a footnote in rock history, mentioned only in the context of the day the music died. For half a decade, Danny hit dead ends. He searched archives, talked to people, followed leads that went nowhere. Then finally, he found Bob Morales. That persistence paid off. But why did Danny Valdez spend 5 years searching for this story in the first place? Because of one magical moment that seemed almost impossible, and it happened in the last place anyone expected. Number 1. Luis Valdez and his brother Danny were in New York City for the opening night of their play Zoot Suit on Broadway. They were in Danny's second-story dressing room riding high on their success, discussing what project they should tackle next. At that exact moment, they heard something drifting up from the street below. Mariachi music. They looked out the window and saw a full mariachi band playing La Bamba right there on 7th Street in the heart of Manhattan. According to Luis, those musicians had been sent by the President of Mexico as a goodwill gesture celebrating the first Chicano play on Broadway. Whether that's exactly how it happened or not, the timing was undeniable. That moment, hearing La Bamba played by mariachis in New York City while discussing their next film, felt like destiny. Because that bizarre coincidence launched one of the most beloved music biopics ever made. There you have it, 30 strange, shocking, and heartbreaking truths about La Bamba that most fans never knew. From coin tosses that decided fate, to a lead actor earning minimum wage, from a mother who held on just long enough, to brutal honesty from a troubled brother, these stories reveal something powerful. Great films aren't made with money. They're made with heart, authenticity, and people who care deeply about the truth. La Bamba succeeded because everyone involved, from Luis Valdez to Lou Diamond Phillips to the Valens family, put the story above everything else. That's why it still resonates nearly 40 years later. That's why it earned a place in the National Film Registry. And that's why, no matter how many remakes Hollywood makes, the original will always be special. Which fact shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like and subscribe for more untold stories from classic films.